How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of the Hidden Horror Podcast. We are your host. I'm Danny.
I'm Jess, and this is our friend Sean.
So, what this podcast is about is we're going to start shedding light on the lesser known horror films. Everybody knows your Hollywood movies,
Halloween.
Friday the 13th, Insidious, all the movies that you see on TV. We want to bring light to the ones that people really don't know about.
The ones we love.
The ones we hate.
And the ones that we're just kind of like, about. So, without further ado, our very first episode is going to be about
Dark Ride
and Southbound, which gave us the title, The Long Dark Ride, Southbound. So with that being said, let's get spooky.
Okay, so our first movie today is a 2006 Horror Fest movie. I don't know if you guys remember the film To Die For. They did it for a couple of years. I think it was like through 2006, 2010. And each of them had 8 movies. This is my personal favorite. It's about a group of friends who decide to spend the night in a closed down dark ride. I think we've all been on them before, right?
That's
yes.
And basically, there is a murderer, and he's in the ride, and he's killing everybody. And this is really scary to me, even though, like, the story is not super great, because I think we've all been on this ride, and we've all had exactly that thought, like, what if someone is on here? Even, like, the ride, or, like, the horror house walkthrough is like, what, there really is a killer in here. We're never going to know until it's too late. So...
I will say I do like the way the movie started off with the twins. It's Asbury Park, which I like because it's close to home. Like we live like 2 hours from Asbury Park.
Yes.
So I like the fact that this film was actually done somewhere like that feels kind of real, not fucking California somewhere and like I don't know, San Francisco was like at one of the boardwalks in New Jersey close to home. So I thought that was kind of cool. And the opening scene was
brutal.
it was creepy.
Creepy.
It was creepy, just like the workers and everything. Like they're just the guy operating the ride. It's like I feel like that guy's gonna be the killer right there.
Yeah. And the killer himself, I think the actor's name Dave Warden. He played an awesome killer. So like the acting, I didn't think was super great in this movie, but his acting was
He was a
horrifying.
believable
the way
killer,
he
right?
moved,
Yeah.
the way his like neck twitched and like the way he walked was just it was.
I like when he was
horrifying.
running. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But what I like too is like I notice familiar faces from movies that I seen growing up. Like the kid from the Sandlot.
Yeah.
He was also in Son-in-Law. I don't know if you guys seen Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore.
Oh, the 90s movie, right?
Yes. Where the girl goes to college and Pauly Shore's the resident advisor, and then the kid from the Sandlot's the little brother, and he was fucking hilarious in that movie. So it was cool seeing that, seeing him. The brunette girl, I forget her name. I forget where I've seen her from, but
she did look familiar.
She
I
is
just don't
familiar, and I looked it up, and I can't remember the names of the movies. They're all none of them are big, but
Yeah,
it's Jamie Lee Sigler. That's the actress.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then the kid with the blonde hair, which he's in the movie, which I really love, not a scary movie, but Alpha Dog, he's in that.
Is that was Jim, the character Jim, right?
With the blonde hair, the
Blonde
earrings,
hair.
he looks like Frankenstein.
Yeah, he has a big forehead.
I think he should absolutely play Frankenstein.
Do you think he's tall enough though?
Yes, I think he is literally what a human version of Frankenstein would look like.
He has the forehead for it.
He has everything. For
He's got the face, everything.
The smile, the eyes, everything about him says Frankenstein. For sure. And I can't believe you said that because I literally wrote it down to bring that up because I do think he...
And maybe a year from now we'll be doing a podcast on Frankenstein and it's him playing it.
And I hope so. I think he'd do a great job. There was one scene in this movie that I thought was absolutely ridiculous and they should have cut it out. And there was one part where Kathy, Jamie Lynn Sigler, her and Liz. Was it Liz, the blonde girl? She's played by Tisdale, one of the sisters.
Like, oh, really?
I think they're sisters, the Ashley Tisdale.
Oh, really?
There's another Tisdale. I don't know if they're cousin sisters. They're related though, because
okay.
I saw they were in like a picture together. Anyway, they're like trying to escape together after like they found the first boyfriend murdered. And she saw some like a hanging decoration, and it almost went to like a flashback to like where she saw the boyfriend hanging in that one scene. And all of a sudden, Kathy just screams. She's like, "You run! I have to go find the others."
Yeah, it
Oh,
was pretty dumb. They split up.
away,
Yeah,
and they split up. And I was like, "What? Like, why would they do this?"
yeah.
Because now, and then she, after
She
she
screams.
heard Liz getting like murdered, she's like running around trying to look for her. I'm like, "What? This is kind of your
This-
fault. You literally just ditched her in the middle, and you're like, I had to go find the others, and then you didn't look for the others. You just
Ran
went
around.
in circles. Like, I thought it was the silliest thing, and they just really needed to like maybe get rid of that.
But we didn't get to see the friend get murdered. You only see him dragging her body up the steps at that one point. So it's
Actually,
like,
right, we
what
didn't.
really happened to her? We don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And then there was that part, like that she kind of, not that anyone deserves to get murdered, but like when she was
Sometimes they
trying
do.
to reach that axe,
Oh
one,
my god.
Oh,
I was like, what the
for
fuck is
how
she
long are you going to
doing?
try to reach for the axe? But also, the axe is it's a
it's a
mechanical
prop.
machine. It's a
Yeah.
prop.
It's
Like
probably
my
rubber.
first thing, like even in the movie, if it was a real axe, like my thought wouldn't be to go find the prop axe. It would be like to just keep running because
It's
I would think it's like it's cardboard or
Yeah.
it's not real. Like
Plus-
I wouldn't think. Let me go check to see if any of these weapons in here are real because it's a dark ride. They're not.
and don't they say at one point that there should be many exits because it is a ride?
Yeah.
And it's like they just kept walking in circles throughout the ride. I didn't
Yes.
understand that at all.
So let's go back to how the killer comes about.
Mm-hmm.
Back at the mental institute he's
Yes.
in. That was like that scene was fucking brutal.
That was cool though.
That was a scary scene, and the way they used the strobe lights and everything
was perfect.
wild.
And like you normally root against the killer or the antagonist in the movie, but like I was ready for him to kill the not even
100%.
not even the one guy, like the big Hawaiian looking guy, the
No,
other one,
yeah.
because he was just slapping them with the
Mhm.
meat. And I'm like, yo, like leave the fucking guy alone.
Yeah. I mean, first,
Like,
I also, the bigger guy, like, I felt like bad. I was like, oh, he doesn't seem that bad. But then he also said something about let's go mess with the girls
Fair.
instead. And I'm like, okay, maybe they're
All
both
right.
pretty bad.
I must have
don't know
missed
what they're
that
doing,
part.
but I definitely wanted them murdered. So I
He
mean,
got it the worst out of both of them though.
he,
Yeah, he stuck his hand right through him.
yeah, but that's an instant death.
Because
You know?
then the other didn't he like eat the other guy's
He-
Face or
too?
something, or
His face,
stomach.
stomach,
Yeah.
and he
Because you saw
definitely
his
died
eyeball
slower.
hanging.
So I definitely think the second death was worse, which was definitely deserved, in my opinion. But
I think the coolest death though was the security guard when he came in behind him and he just split his head right in half, and then he like touches his face for a second, and then you just see it get ripped off.
So I have so like after the people are all together, they're taking their little road trip. When they picked up the hitchhiker, I was like, I don't know, I had a bad feeling about her, but I was wrong because I don't know, I thought it was gonna be like House of a Thousand Corpse. Oh, look, a hot blonde hitchhiker.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
that's
take her
the
where she.
feel you got from it, right?
But she kind of, I don't know, she got it kind of bad
she
too.
definitely got it bad. And I mean, one, you don't pick up hitchhikers. We all know
No.
you don't pick them up. It's just, it's a terrible idea.
But she had shrooms.
She did have shrooms, which doesn't necessarily make it great. She was definitely crazy.
She was.
She might not have been murderer crazy, but she might have down the line probably been murderer crazy.
Yeah, she could have.
Oh, if that guy didn't murder him first, she probably would have.
Yeah, because they were in the van and she's just like rambling on and just getting like crazy. I was like, okay, this isn't gonna end
She
well.
talked about loving the seatbelts and like it's funny. She was funny, but that was a terrible idea right from the beginning. I would have killed my friend if they decided to pick up a hitchhiker for sure. I don't care how hot they are. I don't care if it was the Chris Hemsworth of hitchhikers. You do not pick him up,
Even if he was shirtless.
even if he was shirtless. You don't pick up hot hitchhikers. That's
Yeah, man or woman, just don't.
it. Bad idea. I wanted to also talk about the first guy that got murdered, who was actually the lying, cheating jerk boyfriend, who was the real villain in this whole, movie. I just want to let you guys know that was I was not sad to see him die. I don't care if you didn't see any of his terrible actions. He deserved it.
I did really make him into like a prop for the ride.
Yes.
I did like that he had him working with his arm detached.
Also, I didn't think it looked a lot like him. So the fact that she was staring at it and realized it was him, like, I guess it's different. Like, they had a relationship, so you know your significant other really well. But, like, to me, I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah, because his
he
face
look
looked
like him.
pale and his eyes were like white. It definitely didn't look like
He was
him,
in
but
pieces.
I know I definitely need to watch the movie again because I put it on like late at night and I was like fighting to stay awake to watch it, but I did finish it. So a lot of the stuff
Doesn't sound familiar to
doesn't
you.
sound super familiar. It was more the parts that really stood out, which, like I said, the two workers in the mental asylum being killed, the blonde girl being killed, the opening with the twins. Although I don't like how in the opening the one twin
She's
remind me, how did she just like disappear off the ride? Did she just
He
picked her
grabs,
up.
yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
But
they
like she didn't notice right away. Like her sister, did she notice right away? Because I
she
don't remember
did.
her.
But she didn't do anything. She
Yeah.
just stood there scared. Like, oh no. And like, I guess they're young, whatever.
Yeah,
But like,
okay.
also,
Okay.
I was rooting for that one sister to get ripped out. 'Cause she was a bitch. She was not very friendly, and she was really mean to her sister. She kind of deserved it. I don't know.
But they didn't even pay a ticket to get on the ride.
Really?
Yeah, they looked right over that.
Hmm.
The guy was just like, "Yeah, go on, go on.
And like,
You're not coming back though."
why are like two little girls like the boardwalk was like abandoned pretty
Yes.
much too. That was like
Mhm.
So
no,
just
yeah,
walking, and they were both creepy looking. Like
yeah.
they looked like they might have been the murderers at
It's like The
first.
Shining.
And they were
Yes.
matching. And like twins in real life don't often match. I
No.
know I am one. So, um, what was the next? There was one more thing I wanted to bring up.
All right, so let's go back from the opening of the movie and let's just kind of like tell the story, like how everything progressed. We kind of just talked about a lot of the deaths.
Yeah. Which
Okay, so the two twins they go on the ride. They're the first deaths, and what is it like 1989 or something?
I think it was 89, yeah.
89, yeah.
89 was the year, and basically after that they find I mean the newspaper articles that they showed read something about 14 bodies that they found in
Yes.
Yeah.
there, but it didn't really like go into detail about those. And then it just shoots over to the future, and there's a bunch of college kids
Yeah.
that want to go on a trip, and they decide to go with their guy friends to
I think they're going to New Orleans.
was it New
I think they were
Orleans?
saying they were trying to head down to New Orleans.
I don't remember exactly where they were going.
Right? I think that's what it was.
I
And
don't
then
know, but they were going together to save money for the trip. They did not seem like they cared much for each other, but they were just doing it to save money.
Yeah.
Um, so they get in a van, they start driving down. That's when they stop at a gas station with a very creepy gas
Yeah.
station attendant. He's not like responsive really, right? They were trying to talk to him
At first,
multiple
yeah,
times.
Sandlot kid was trying to talk to him.
Sandlot kid, who is very sus in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when Sandlot Kid comes back to the van, he comes with a flyer for the dark ride that's reopening, and he thinks it's a cool idea to go over there and save some money and stay overnight. The girls don't like this idea, and then they start, harassing each other, being like, "Oh, you're just scared, this and that," and they eventually agree to go. And then when they're on their way, that's when they pick up the hitchhiker. What was her name? Jen.
Yeah.
Jen, the hitchhiker, who is definitely a psychopath, but not a
Yeah.
killer psychopath, just a regular psychopath. And she asked to go with them when they say that they're stopping over at the dark ride. They get to the dark ride and it's abandoned, everything's off. They see a security guard up in the front removing a homeless guy from sitting there, and they try to find a way in. Right? So who was it? I think it was Jim who finds his way in through a window or something. He turns out all the lights in the rides and he lets everybody else in. They get in there. What else should we go from there?
Yeah, because the one girlfriend stayed back.
That's right. See,
Right.
thank you. Then the one girlfriend, Kathy, who did not want to go in there to begin with. She didn't care that they were calling them scared or whatever, and she did not like the hitchhiker girl. Stayed back, and that's when Steve, her ex-boyfriend who cheated on her that she went with, decided to try and get her to come in and gave her a kiss. She did not seem happy about it, and they go and leave her in the truck. So they took the shrooms. They took the shrooms.
They took the
truck
shrooms.
away
They
there.
took the shrooms.
Yeah, before they even started driving.
Yeah.
The shrooms, actually. I expected them to do a little more with shrooms.
Yeah, that was really just like it was kind of there was no reason to add that.
Have that, yeah.
Place to be doing shrooms. Not that I've even done shrooms. Would be in a dark ride. Do you think it would be a terrible?
I did them in my friend's bedroom. That's when my trip kicked in, and I was terrified. I did way too many too, though. So this was fucking forever ago. But I
So
Yeah.
how do you think that would go if you were in
No,
the dark ride?
a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, I would love to take shrooms and go to a haunted house." I'm like, "You're fucking nuts!" Like,
Yeah,
That
it
sounds
was
like a
no go.
terrible idea for
definitely
sure.
a no go.
Um, so okay, so after they're all like hanging out and they're telling the story, and this is Jim starts telling the story about the girls in Asbury Park, and in the end, he says that the killer actually died. That's when Bill, the Sandlot kid, we're always going to refer to him as
Yes,
Yeah,
that.
it's
yes.
just
Bill,
easier.
the Sandlot
He's
kid,
just gonna be the
gets
Sandlot guy.
up in his creepy little storytelling mode, and he says that it's pretty much right, except for the fact that the boy, whose name was Jonas, was actually never killed and was put into an institution, which we all know because we saw in the beginning that there was a guy in the mental asylum. So we're starting to put this all together that he's alive. And then he comes to say that the two girls were his cousins, and this is why he knows that it's true. And well, from there, they start looking around and, they're laughing about it now. It's a scary story or whatever. And the blonde hitchhiker girl grabs Steve, the lying, cheating boyfriend, and pulls him to the side. And they're like going and investigating another room. And they're shining light. They use that mirror, which is actually really smart. I did not expect him to do that. And the mirror shines light on Kathy, who waited in the van, laying on a chair with her neck slit open. And he starts screaming. And then everybody starts laughing because guess what? It was a huge joke. Kathy's not dead. This was her revenge plot over cheating. Which I think she took it easy on him. I don't think that's a big
Oh yeah,
I didn't think it was as serious. He was very upset about this because you don't fake people's deaths, which okay, he's
Yeah, that's the
kinda
last time you
right.
see him too, right?
Well, pretty much. That's
Right.
when Bill comes in and he was in on it. He had the flyer the whole time. They planned this from the very beginning before they even left for the trip. So he didn't find the flyer in the gas station. This was planned from the get go. They always were going to stop at the dark ride no matter what. He, tells Billy he has no friends left, storms off. This is the last time we see him alive. But it doesn't show him dying. No,
No, it
just
doesn't.
shows
It just show him.
It shows him walking, and then Jonah sneaking around or whatever. But you never see him actually die. What happens after that? Refresh my memory.
And then they actually try to leave.
They were
They
all
want to.
leaving
They want to
to go to
go.
a hotel.
Yeah, they want to go back.
And that's when it was the two girls and Bill that actually come across Steve's body hanging there, right? And
Yes.
that's when like they're staying there and she's staring, and then all of a sudden she's starting to recognize and she's screaming.
Mm-hmm.
They all start running. Bill runs off, and this is actually the last time you see Bill. After it shows him running off, and like you never see him again until the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which was also part of why we should have known he was sus. But when I first saw it,
You didn't think anything of it, yeah.
I didn't even realize that we didn't see him the whole time.
I just thought he was the big name for the movie.
Yeah, to get
low
people
budget
watching,
movie. Yeah, you throw a big name in there.
Yeah, so that was that. We have Jim sneaking around with the hitchhiker now.
Yeah, because he goes to turn back on the power because the power goes off.
Yes, the power goes off.
So he sneaks
naturally, as it does in every horror movie.
Yep.
And they sneak around, and we got the girlfriend, not the girlfriend, the hitchhiker Jen going. They're getting it on a little bit. And that's when Jonah, very creepily, what was that, a table or something? I don't know what he was hiding under. He like sneaks out.
Yeah.
It was a desk,
I don't
table.
know.
It was, I don't know.
Very
He, like,
quietly
Pallets.
sneaks out.
Yeah.
He very creepily sneaks out and like slices this girl's head off. I refuse to believe in any real situation that somebody would not notice. Whoever's like going down on his head getting cut off.
Yeah.
She'd be making some kind of noise. You're not just gonna
You
still
just-
sit there just with your eyes closed.
Make noise, like you gotta know something's
going on.
Yeah.
There's you'll know that you'll know there's another presence in the room. Like once okay, you don't see him on the table, I get that.
But you
like,
can
once
feel the vibe. Yeah.
Something where you see someone's crawling out and it wasn't pitch black in there anymore.
No, it wasn't. Mm-hmm.
And then hilarious part is like after this he starts freaking out, right? He's holding her head or whatever.
Yeah.
And he runs and he knocks himself out on like a pole or something.
Yeah, it was a beam or something. He runs.
Should we just do like a quick description of what happened? I'll do it.
Okay.
All right, so Hitchhiker Girl is giving, what's it, Jim a blowjob, and he's got his eyes closed, and the killer sneaks from under a table. While she's doing it, he quietly cuts her head off.
Yeah.
And then Jim just like grabs her head and he's like smiling, he's all happy, and he just notices it's just a head. Her head was cut off while giving the blowjob. Like sorry, not happening.
What?
Wait,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like she's not slowly standing up with you like that because that'd be kind of weird.
Not making
So yeah, then he screams, he turns around to run, and just there's just a pole right there. He hits his head on like I don't know some
Which
kind of
is
it was
plumbing or something.
ridiculous.
strange too, because he got knocked out, and the killer just
Looked
was
at
like,
him.
okay,
All right.
now, yeah, yeah, I don't want to kill you anymore. Like,
Um,
That part made me laugh. I thought that
yeah,
was
that
funny.
was pretty funny.
Yeah,
that was definitely one of them. There were some silly things going on there. Uh, from there, I'm pretty sure it like flashes over to the girl trying to grab the hatchet or whatever.
Yes, 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 yes.
And that pissed me off. It was like way too long of like
They-
just sitting there.
you know,
And
just
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I didn't just. If you really want to, just climb over that little
Yeah,
windowsill.
she's definitely not trying.
Yeah, it was just.
Like your arm's not gonna go any longer.
Yeah.
So like there was like probably a million other things around you that probably would have been a better weapon than a fake axe.
Yeah, a
or
rubber
a
axe.
prop. And like he's right behind you.
That was a cool scene though, when she was like
When his
slowly
head-
pulling back when she gets the axe and you see his face just in the corner.
Mhm.
I thought that was kind of creepy.
That was cool. And then like she starts screaming. You really don't see much. I think you see her running. I don't think he actually gets her right there. It's either her or Kathy running down the hall, but it's dark, so I couldn't tell who it was.
Yeah.
But then you see that Kathy sees like here's the screaming. She's like, yeah,
And then yeah, she
and that's why I was like so mad.
she tries
is
to run
'cause, like,
back to her.
you literally just left her out for no reason, saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, I gotta go find the others." Like that, I just, ugh, that part I can't stand. So basically, in the end, Kathy gets out the window
Yes.
and she gets in a van and she starts driving. So she never went to go find her friends. She literally
Yeah,
just
she
went
just
out the
leaves
window.
them. She just
Starts,
leaves
she
them.
just ditches them. And then on her phone, she gets a text from Jim that says help. And she's like, oh, I gotta go back
Which
now.
is funny because previously the phones didn't work inside the
No,
ride.
but since she drove away, I think.
But then how did he send that text to her?
I don't know. Like the signal came. But she, starts driving away. She sees the help and she decides to turn around.
Which we do get to see the Stone Pony, which is awesome. Great,
Yes.
great venue.
Yes, yes. So she does her U-turn. She drives over, or it has her driving over, and that's when. Oh, did the secure? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you missed the security guard first, and then she drives back. Yeah.
We already discussed this.
Yeah, we did. We did.
So she's driving back, and she decides to just, fly through the
Mhm.
wall. She manages to hit Jonas, and he goes flying through some spikes on the wall. Don't know what those spikes were. Were they just for the haunted house?
Probably.
Was there something?
Because
Like
it
the
looked,
one real prop that they actually
Yeah.
used that was
Were the
metal.
spikes on the
because it
wall
deadly
looked like it was
behind?
in the back area.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the actual ride.
Yeah, so he
So-
just goes flying through the spikes and he's stuck on there, and like we're pretty sure he's dead. And one thing is like they do keep him dead in this, which I like because it's realistic.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
living through that.
You're not going to get 14 spikes in your hands to
There's no
survive.
chance. And it was anyway. That's when you realize Bill. We haven't seen him in a while, and he comes walking out. And he's starting to tell Jim because she saved Jim. She managed to get there right on time, and then she knocks herself out in the car, so she's not here for this whole speech. Tells him basically that Jonah is his brother, and he's been doing all these kills as like little gifts for him, being like his little creepy self.
Yeah, that's how they play or something. He said, I think.
Yeah, it's like how he plays, and it's his games or whatever. And then he stabs Jim, which after he started giving the speech, you saw that one coming. And that's when she wakes up and she comes out and like, did they?
Yeah, Bill was like,
talk?
"Oh, yeah." He was like, "Thanks for helping me."
Something like that.
And then she just like walks away. Like
she runs out of like this area. It's raining, it's dramatic, and then she's just crying, screaming on her knees outside.
Mhm.
Turned to Bill, which was a terrible idea. Nothing happened out of it, but like
It
it's
just
just kind of how it
ends.
ends.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have turned my back to Bill. I would have not. I also wouldn't have been on my knees crying outside right where he was. I just saw, he just murdered someone.
I would have got back in the van and just if it started,
If it
and just been
started.
like, peace, I'm out.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it isn't an abandoned
Yeah.
house.
No.
There's people there. But that's it. That's pretty much. It was a good watch. It was scary in its own ways. Again, it was not a perfect movie. You're not going to find a perfect horror movie. Most of them,
It
know.
Yeah,
did
it's
give
very
me
rare.
Not a perfect hidden horror movie. That's for sure.
Yeah. It did give me classic slasher vibes. Kind of like a Jason or a Michael, because it was, everybody was going their own separate ways, and he was
Yeah.
just picking them all off.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
could see that. And also, like I said, the scariest part is that like we have all been on one of those rides and we've all had those same kind of thoughts like while being in those rides, even those people that love the horror movies,
Yeah.
like we all pretend we're not scared, we're a little bit scared. So anyway, that was, Dark Ride.
All right, so next up we got Southbound, which is a 2015 anthology film. It's basically five stories, which I believe is in the same town because
Hmm.
everything comes full circle, it all connects. There's a few pieces missing, but overall I really love this film a lot. So the first story starts off with two characters named Mitch and Jack. They're driving on an interstate. It's dark out. They have like blood on them, so you know something went down. So there's a quote that's on the radio that I want to say. It says, "All you lost souls racing down that road to redemption, and all you sinners running from your past," which kind of like is what the whole movie is about,
Hmm.
which I thought was really cool. So they're driving, daylight comes, they stop at a gas station, and it's like your typical horror movie gas station. It has your
Yep.
locals in it. They're
Creepy,
they're just creepy.
Yeah,
It's like
especially the
a
cashier.
yeah,
She's
awkward,
it's
right?
weird.
like a really shitty looking gas station. I think there's maybe like a diner inside of it or something. She looks
Mm-hmm.
like she's a diner waitress. So Mitch sits down, Jack goes in the bathroom to clean himself off. Now I want to bring it back really quick. I forgot to mention something. When they're driving, it shows them like look out the window and you can see like those floating
Yes.
creatures.
Yeah, which I think, in my opinion, were they Reapers? Were they supposed to be
I
Reapers? That's what I was
I,
thinking.
that's what I'm gonna say is
yeah,
they were like Grim Reapers just with no cloak, no sickle. There was
sickle.
just like
Because their hands kind of look like a sickle
they
when they
did.
came out,
They
you
did.
know?
So they're just like floating and they have like tentacles coming off of them too. It looks like half skeleton, half like I don't know, tentacle monster.
It was
So
good. It was good CGI though.
It
It looked
was.
cool. It
It
looked
really
cool.
was.
what I also thought was like cool about those is like you kept seeing them in the beginning, but you couldn't
Didn't
tell
know
what
what
they
it was.
were.
Hmm.
You were
and
like, "What is that?" And then like eventually they do like show it, but it's like you
like
definitely noticed them.
my problem with I didn't even notice them when I the first time I watched the movie because when I first watch a movie for the first time, I don't fully pay attention.
Mhm.
I'm just kind of like I don't know.
It's usually after work or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You're tired, right? Yeah, no.
So going back to the scene where they get to the gas station, Jack is cleaning himself off and he's looking in the mirror and you again see one which I somehow missed the
Hmm.
first time. And he goes to like take his shirt off because he has a cut on his side, and he just gets pulled back by
Yeah.
something. And when the shirt's over his head, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And it goes to Mitch sitting down, and the whole building starts
Shaking.
shaking. And he's looking around, but the waitress, the people in the gas station, they're just sitting there like nothing's happening.
Mhm.
So he must have been the only one seeing that. So Jack comes out and says, "We have to get out of here." They get in the truck, they start driving in a straight line, and they pull right up to the same gas station. And he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And gas station attendant, waitress lady, whatever, she's out there smoking a cigarette. And the first time they went to the gas station, she says to him, "Rough night" or
Rough
something
night.
like that. So when they go back to the gas station again, somehow, she says the same thing. He says, "What the fuck?" And she looks at him and smoking the cigarette and says, "Rough night." They go and it's still showing the gas station, and then you just see the truck pulling right
Pulling.
back up again. And I thought it was funny how
Because he
again he
says it.
just
Yeah.
says,
Yeah.
"What the fuck?"
Yeah, they said
And
that a lot.
Yeah.
And you know what
yeah,
else though? I think about that one part is like watching it as like, a horror movie person, you're like, this isn't scary. But if you sit back and you think about it, like
it's
if
kind of
that happened to
You're
you,
just trapped in
you're
what
that.
do you
trapped.
do?
You
Like that is
just
that's actually horrifying.
Yeah.
it is. So they start driving again, and Mitch tells him to stop the truck. And you can again see we'll call them Reapers. You can see
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
Reapers just floating like everywhere. And Mitch is telling Jack, like, look, like we're home, like this is home, like we can't don't you see like we're stuck here.
Mhm.
And
That
Jack's not having it. He's telling him
Hmm.
to get back in the truck and he's just like, whatever, he's like, I'm leaving, I'm getting back in the truck. Oh, but before that, he's when Jack is outside, he sees one of the Reapers in the distance and he's screaming like, "What do you want?"
mhm.
Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you want from us? And that's what Mitch is saying, like, this is where we are. Like we're stuck
Yeah,
here.
like our actions kind of led
Yeah,
to
like
this.
what we did, which you will find out later exactly what happened. Um, so Jack gets back in the truck and I don't even know if he starts it. He looks out the window and you just see the Reaper just fly right towards the
Mm-hmm.
door and it just rips him out. He's on his knees looking at the Reaper and the thing just spikes him right through the mouth,
Mouth.
killing him.
That was
Which I
really
thought I
It was a pretty good kill.
it was a
It was
good
a good
kill
kill.
because it didn't just like go in his mouth and there's blood. It like ripped his mouth
Yeah.
open. You see his like teeth on the side. It was
Mhm.
I was just like, damn, like that's
Yeah.
we're 5 minutes into this movie.
Yeah,
We got
that's the
that
first
already.
kill. Yeah.
Um, and Mitch basically accepted it. So
Mhm.
he starts following the Reapers, and they're taking him to like a motel. I don't want to say it was abandoned because the three girls from the next one are in there,
Yeah.
but he's walking and he hears a door knock, so he figures this is where he needs to go. So he goes in his house, the motel room, and I'm assuming that's his actual
Mhm.
house
House.
because he walks in, he sees blood on the walls, and it just you could tell it's familiar to him, but he's kind of confused, like that's not where his house
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But then he sees a little girl scream, "Dad!" What was her name?
Catherine.
Catherine.
Catherine. So he's kind of like trying to follow her to get to her, and she just keeps running away from him, and he's running
Mhm.
after her.
And he keeps calling her, so that's
And
when you know it's his daughter.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like she
Because I
and
think she does say dad
she
too at some
does.
She
point, right?
does, but like
Yeah,
you first you see he recognizes her, he calls her Catherine, and
Yeah.
that's why you know like it is like his daughter.
and then you can hear her screaming like help, and
Mhm.
he's just yelling Catherine. He keeps running, and anytime he feels like he's getting close, she's not there. And you
Yeah, it
hear her
gets
scream, "Why won't you help me?"
Mhm.
And then he just knows he can't. He knows he can't help her, and
yeah, it gets back in that loop again.
yeah, so he's
Just keeps
he's in
going
a
around.
constant loop. Like that's the thing with him. He's stuck in a loop. And then he just screams "fuck" like really loud, and then it like pans out
Hmm.
through the house, motel room, whatever you want to call it, and it shows the front door, and it shows a housekeeper walk by, and she puts a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door, so he's trapped for good. Like he's stuck
Yeah,
there for
that's
good. No one's gonna come disturb. He can't leave. And then it pans over to the next door, and this is where the second story begins, which I really like this
Yeah.
one. This one
this
was
was really creepy
This
in
was
my eyes. I
really
was like,
and
what is
this one
going
was
on?
there was a lot more detail in this one too. So it's three girls named Sadie, Ava, and Kim. And I guess they're in a band. They're like I don't know if they're touring the country, just touring the state. They're in a jazz band.
Hmm.
They're in a minivan, like an old school
Like yeah,
Volkswagen,
yeah,
Volkswagen,
yep.
yeah.
Um, so they're like shit. We're late. We got to get going. So they get in their van. They start driving down the interstate, and they get a flat tire. I don't know if they hit something. It just popped. Whatever. No service, of course.
There's never is.
There
Nope.
never is service in a horror movie ever. Um, so they're just kind of like chilling roadside, just figuring out how to fix this. And a car pulls up. Really, really weird couple. Like they seem nice, but there's something totally off
This
about these people,
That's
which is
because nobody's ever that
nice.
nice.
yeah,
If
they're in like
someone's coming up to you that nice, it's suspicious. And I don't know
Especially
if that's the New Yorker in me or what,
yeah,
but
especially if you're in the middle of nowhere and they're
yeah,
well dressed.
yeah,
They have
yeah.
a what were they driving? A Mercedes?
an old Mercedes
You
station
know, so
wagon.
it's like that's a
They
little
were very
suspicious.
so
Yeah,
even if I didn't like it kind of gave you like, you know, past vibes, like even if they weren't like 1,000-year-old like vampires or something, you don't
Mm.
know. Like the old dressing and everything, I would have been
it's
like,
like
nah,
serial
Yeah,
these are like the
killers.
Jesus freaks or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Regardless, I'm
Yeah,
not having this car.
because the main girl was Sadie. Is that the main girl?
Yeah, I think so,
She
right?
was like, "No, we're good.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
fine
The
here."
only
Like,
smart one in that
So
group.
this couple, their names Dale and Betty. So they tell the girls, what was it, Pete's Body Shop, I think.
yes, I think it was.
So they'll have a tire for you, get it fixed there. It's just a few miles down the road, but they're not open till tomorrow. If you come back to our place, we have friends, the Kensingtons, they have a camper and that wheel they got an extra wheel that they could put on and Sadie's telling them, no, we're good. We sleep in the van, we're good. And they're like, all right. But the other two girls are like, no, let's just go with them. So they call them to stop. They end up getting in the car with them, going back to their place. And Sadie is the only one that's has any kind of brains
Yes.
apparently, because she's just like from the start does not have a good feeling. So they go in the house, and first thing they point out is like, are these people living in the 50s? Because it's like decorated like from the
From yeah.
50s. And what was it? Betty says to them, I'll fix you up some, or she says, sorry about Alex. I'll whip you up something for dinner.
That's
And then
right. She
Sadie's
does.
like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'll whip you up something for dinner. And she's like, no, before that. And then Betty leaves the room and she's like, did you guys hear what she said? Now, Alex, I'm assuming was their fourth
Band
member,
member.
like the
Yeah.
fourth band member, but um, they don't say it, but she was definitely killed.
Hmm.
Um, and they say she was killed because Sadie left her or let her leave or something like that, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
she could sleep with some guy or
yeah.
something like
Hmm.
that. So they're just hanging out in the room, and then it cuts to the dinner scene with the three girls.
Their
Um,
friends came, right?
Yeah.
there's Dale and
With
Betty. Then
their
there was the Kensingtons with the two
their
weird
sons.
ass sons.
What
They
was
were
up with
like
them?
they were like grown adult sons, and I don't know if you guys noticed, they moved simultaneously.
Yeah.
Every
Exactly.
move they
Everything they did. Yeah.
took a sip of water, they every time they looked the same way,
Hmm.
same expression on their face. Um,
Also, the whole time, like the two other friends did not acknowledge that this was weird. Not a single
they
thing.
were
They thought
just
those
as weird.
In
yeah,
on it,
they
right? Like,
start well
Yeah,
even before they started getting weird. Like they were at the dinner, they're like, "All right, well, here's some weird food, very
which,
gross
yeah.
food.
What was that?
Let's eat it."
so well, I think it was Sadie that says, was it Sadie or one of the other girls that mentioned something about the sons? Like, are these your sons? Like, you guys look so young, and they say that they're adopted.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
So that kind of threw up a red flag for me because of how they were acting.
Yeah.
So yeah, they bring out this weird ass Sunday roast or something. That shit looked like something right out of the garbage. It
Roadkill.
looked
Yeah. It
disgusting.
was.
Not even roadkill.
And Sadie says, oh, I forgot to mention, like, I'm a vegetarian. And um, everyone got pissed. Well, the Kensingtons and the weird couple got pissed. You could tell they were
Mhm.
like, shit, she's not eating it. So something was up with that meat or whatever it was.
But then the weird couple kind of came back and was like, "Oh, well, it's okay," like still keeping their cool and
Yeah.
whatever. You could tell they were like suspicious about it. I don't know.
But then
Yeah, it was creepy.
It was weird.
someone says something, and then one of the sons says something, and the one
I think he says, "Isn't there supposed to be four of them, or something like that?"
maybe I forget
I think that's what he was
exactly what he
saying.
said,
Yeah, he
but
said
then
I thought there was
There's
four
four,
of them.
right? And then she gets mad.
yeah, and
Yeah.
she just says like enough. Like you tell she
Yeah.
just like it wasn't anything wrong that he said to us, but
Yeah.
it was something wrong to her.
She's hiding something.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So they go back in their rooms, and it's Sadie and Kim because Ava was in the bathroom. And Kim, that's when she says something about like, why did you leave Alex? And she's like, what did you say? And she starts kind of like antagonizing her because I don't know, maybe Sadie has guilt that Alex is dead, thinking
Mhm.
it's her fault. And Kim's like, I'm just joking, haha. And then Sadie's talking, and then Kim just starts throwing up this black shit. And then Sadie goes in the bathroom to see Ava, and Ava's sitting by the toilet, just
Yeah.
black shit everywhere. They were
It's
puking
gross.
like some gross
They're
shit. So
puking exactly what it looks like they ate.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it was.
so the family, Dale and Betty, they whip up this medicine. It looks like milk or something.
Yeah, it was
and
it was
it
weird.
makes them better, but now they're
like
Kim,
hypnotized.
Kim
right?
and Ava are like hypnotized, wearing the same weird ass 1950s outfit, sitting on the
Mhm.
bed. And Sadie's saying, "We gotta go." No, we want to stay. We're tired.
And they get in the same bed, right?
Yeah, the same
Yeah.
bed. And if you notice, they lay down the same
Exactly the
way,
same way,
exactly
yeah.
the same, like the
Mhm.
twins. So now that makes me think like these twins were kidnapped, and these two families did the same thing to the twins that they just did to Kim and Ava.
Yeah.
Um, so Sadie falls asleep. She grabs a knife, falls asleep, sitting next to the bed with the two girls on the bed. And as she has a flashback.
Then how do you fall asleep in this
Yeah.
situation?
I would
I'm
have been
sorry.
like,
I don't
Nope.
care how talented.
I would have been out. I would have told them like,
There
look, if you
is-
girls want to stay, I'm out. Like,
If I'm in a situation where I think I need to sit there and hold a knife, my ass ain't
Then go to
falling
sleep.
asleep. I'm sorry.
so
Anyway.
Walk around the room, do
Mhm.
something, keep yourself awake.
So it's like she must have been asleep for a while because the girls got up and left the
Yes.
room. And but I'm assuming that was Alex in her flashback
Yeah.
or in the dream she had, even though it kind of looked like Kim. I was like, is that Kim or is that's got to be Alex?
Yeah, I think it was Alex.
So she like wakes up like kind of scared, and she looks out the window and she sees just people, her friends and the family walking um somewhere, I don't know, in a
Into the
yard,
desert.
into the
Yeah.
woods or whatever. So she goes out, and this is where like it's very cultish. Everyone's got cloaks on.
Hmm.
There's like a fire with something over it, which I gotta go back to the dinner table real quick. The prayer that they said,
Oh yeah, and they said
um,
amen at the
the
end.
Oh,
Kensington,
that was funny.
because
That
the
was good.
Kensington husband, I forget what his name was saying like we sacrifice these bodies, something. It
Yeah,
was like a
it was
It
sketch.
sacrificial
was,
prayer.
It
yeah.
was not cool.
So Sadie's now spying on these people, and they're cutting their hands and putting their blood in some kind of cup or something. And Sadie backs up, and shit. Another point I missed when they were in the car, they saw the bear trap in the back,
Yep.
That's right.
and Dale says, "Oh, it's for coyotes. Hoo hoo. Whatever. It's probably broken now." They set that trap up, and Sadie steps in it, and it goes off, and it alarms them. So she starts running. They start following her. She hides in the barn, sees and has another vision of Alex, freaks the
Hmm.
fuck out, falls out of the barn. Basically, Sadie does end up escaping. She gets to the highway, and she's trying to flag down a car she sees coming in the distance. Why she's standing in the middle
Middle
of
of
the
the road.
road, I don't know. But this is where the third story starts, which is a man named Lucas. He's talking to his wife, girlfriend,
Yeah, we
fiance,
don't. Yeah, we
whatever.
don't know
You
yet.
don't know exactly what she is, but he's on the phone looking at, not even paying attention, just looking at pictures that she was sending him of dresses
Hmm.
she's gonna wear out. And then he looks up and you see Sadie scream, and it's too late. And he just
Oof.
smacks her with the car.
Oof.
She got fucked up really bad.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
so he freaks out and he calls 911, which is weird because he said there's no service.
service.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
also
But
before he calls 911, you notice he thinks for a second
Yeah,
about
just
killing her
leaving
and leaving
or
her.
just
Well, he
going.
like did he go over there and put his like foot over like by her face? Did that
did
happen?
he? I don't.
I
Oh,
maybe I just saw it at the wrong angle. But to me
maybe.
it looked like he actually considered like either just leaving her there or almost like putting her out of her misery.
See, that's what I thought he was going to do, is just take off driving. Like,
He
just
thought about
see
it.
ya.
I think
Yeah,
that it was implying that he thought
because
about
he was
it.
like kind of like he got back in the car, called what was her name? Claire
Claire, I think
was the
she
wife.
kept
Yeah, the
calling.
wife, girlfriend, I think it's Claire.
I have it written down. Lucas, Claire, yeah. So he's like, I gotta call you back. So he calls 911 again, which still just they're sitting there saying like he's saying I have no service. I can't use GPS to the nearest
But he's on the
hospital,
But he's
phone.
on,
but he's
yeah.
on the phone. So it's kind of
Well,
like,
emergency calls you can make without service, right?
can
I
you?
don't know.
I
I'm not
think.
sure.
Is
Yeah, I'm
it?
not
I
sure.
don't know. We'll
Or am
find
I
out.
making that up?
I don't know.
Maybe I made that
It
up.
sounds like something that
We
would.
could try
Right?
to call 911 from here because we have
Yeah,
a
there's some
service here.
serious service, so that would.
So he gets on the phone with 911. They switch him over to like an EMT, and they tell him like put her in the car, take her to the nearest hospital, which he does. He finds a hospital, lights are on and everything, but it's abandoned. Like
Yeah, the whole
he,
town he
yeah, the whole
goes
town
to.
is abandoned. There's no people, nothing. So he gets her in the hospital. TVs are on. There's half-eaten food. Lights are all on. No one's in there. Finds a clean surgery room to put her on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can we
Which
stop? When he picks her up and her leg just
I was gonna get to
snaps
that.
even
Yeah.
more. Just
So they were like asking. They kept asking the condition of her, and then like it shows blood just fall on his shoe, and then it shows her leg, and it just like snaps inward. So he's carrying her, and her leg is like bent like this, just like
yeah,
it
yeah.
was
It was
It was not
gruesome.
it was
good.
a
That was
gruesome part of the movie. It
yeah,
was
that
really
was
good.
rough.
But this is the part I was telling you that like I fell asleep the first time I watched it, and then I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
It was like mid him doing surgery on her, and I was just
Okay.
like, oh my God. Like I didn't realize I thought he was just killing her, but
I mean, here's the thing too: is I get in his situation why he was panicking and doing these things. But at what point do you realize
That
that this is not great?
no.
something
Because these people are
fishy.
telling him to do all these things in this surgery, and like in reality, they would never tell you to
No,
do that. They would never
No.
tell you to make a decision. You're not a
No.
they would
doctor.
have never told you to move her from the road.
No.
911, yeah, it's like they might tell you to like move her to a safer place so she doesn't get
Yeah,
run over again.
but
Yeah.
But none of this, or like I guess I at some point to what's like to get her to a hospital, but they're never going to tell you to put her
yeah,
on the bed, start doing like this and that and this. When he was telling them to like intubate her, even there, it's a stretch, but like okay. But then once they said like do the incision on her
Yeah.
stomach, there right there, he
I
should
would
have
have been
been
like,
like,
no, I'm good.
So he gets her on the bed, and they're like we were just talking about. They tell him he has to intubate her because they say they need to hear how she sounds. So he puts the phone up so the EMT can hear the way she sounds, like the way she's
gurgling.
Oh yeah, the
It's like
breathing.
you
The
have to
breathing.
intubate her. So you get this tube that has this labeled on. He's looking. He happens to find an intubation kit, and like yeah, stick your fingers in her mouth and like open up her throat or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Keep it open. Don't take your fingers out of her mouth. So he has his hand like shoved in her mouth, shoving a tube in there,
She's
and
biting him, right?
she ends up biting down on his fingers. And they're like, whatever you do, do not take your hand
Hand
out.
out.
And they're like, well, you need to get this. And so now a surgeon out of nowhere, a male surgeon, comes on the phone.
Yes.
Because they're
And
at like wherever you're doing the 911 calls, like
He
yeah,
just
there's
picks
a
up.
surgeon
Oh,
who
I
just
got it.
happens to be
Yeah.
there. I don't know.
so he's like, she has broken ribs, whatever the diaphragm can press on the lung, can
Yeah,
compress the
her
lung or
lungs aren't.
whatever.
Yeah.
So and he's like, how did you know that? And he was like, I've been on the phone the whole time. And it's like, still, you don't know her injuries, like you haven't
Yeah.
seen her.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because don't they call him by his name too? And
Yeah,
he
and
kind
they
of
they
say
he's
call him
like,
caller
Lucas,
ID,
but
but
then he does say like, he's like, how'd you know my name? And he's like, you're calling from a mobile phone. And he was like, okay, makes
oh,
sense.
okay, yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Which you can do, but like not just from, I don't know.
It's just
Sometimes I get calls and
Yeah.
they have like names. Not most of the time,
just
no,
all
but
of it
like
just seemed
you
fishy
never
though.
know. But
So this surgeon says, you need to compress her lung or she's gonna die. Like, I need you to make an incision this long in this spot, whatever. So he starts like cutting her open. They're like, you need to stick your hand in there and press on her lung. And he's like, what the fuck? Well, he does
yeah.
it, and then she just spits a bunch of blood out and she's dead.
Dead.
That's it. And then everyone that's on the line with him, the surgeon, the EMT, everyone starts like laughing
Laughing.
hysterically.
Yep. So did that part too is like um if I was in his situation, I almost probably would have been relieved that she died at that point. Because how much of that could you take? Like, she is obviously like gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way
Even
he's
if she
saving her. And I
yeah.
get he wants to try. But like after these people are telling him to do all this, like at that point I think I would have been like, I'm sorry. Like
Should be a vegetable if she survives
yeah,
that. Like
it's not
I
gonna
mean,
get
her leg was basically disconnected
yeah,
at
it
that
was
point.
that
It
was all.
was
like she's been like spitting up blood this whole time, and how long has it been? Long enough that
She probably would have bled out before he got to the hospital though. You don't think so?
It was pretty quick. I don't know. You never know. People live through some crazy
Have
shit.
been known to
You
live.
never
yeah.
know.
So they're all laughing hysterically, and he's just like in a state of shock at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not really much more that happens from here besides the ending part.
Well, don't they tell him to go to the locker room?
Yeah, so
Right.
they tell him he can leave,
That's
and
right.
this will all be wiped. No one will ever know about it. So like go in this locker. They have the exact outfit he's
Mm-hmm.
wearing. So he changes, then he goes out. His car obviously was messed up from hitting her, and there happens to be the exact
Same
Audi
yep.
that he had with the same plates and everything. And he gets in the car, he drives off, and he's talking to the EMT. And you see him pass by like a phone booth, and there's a woman on the phone that says, "Good night, Lucas." And that
He
was
hangs up.
The transition to the next
that's
one.
the transition to
Now,
the next one.
in that part, I honestly thought that he would like something was going to happen to him, like whether it was going to be an accident or something. I felt like that went too smooth that he just got in the car and left. And
Yeah.
then also the woman in the phone booth, I kind of expected to be one of those weird cult people.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Because there was like
thinking.
multiple people on the phone. There were men on the phone, but it was just that one woman who hung up from that payphone.
Because it's like going back to that story, it's like Sadie got away, and now these people in the cult didn't want her to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would have been a really good idea if they used one of those women as from the cult to be the EMT on the phone. Because it's like, all right, we got her. Like, she's not getting away now because she's dead. All right, so now we're on to the fourth segment. This one I wasn't a huge fan of. I'm gonna kind of go through this one a little quick. It wasn't really exciting. It was
And I think it was
weird.
the quickest out of all
It definitely
five, right?
was actually I think the first one was the quickest,
But it came
but
back to the end. Like
it did
Yes,
come
it
back to the
comes
end, so it
full
kind
circle.
of wasn't the quickest. So the one EMT on the line that was in the phone booth, her name is Sandy, really weird looking lady, but I've seen her in other horror
I was
movies.
She
just
did
gonna
look
say,
familiar, right?
Have you guys seen? I don't know if it's on Shutter. There's Scare Package and Scare Package 2.
Mm-mm.
They're
Scare Package.
hilarious. But so Scare Package 2, I think, is what I recognize her from. But if you look through, there's a whole bunch of those low budget horror movies that she's in, and honestly, she is perfect for all of them.
I recognize her from Starry Eyes, which I don't know if you've guys seen that one, Starry Eyes.
Story
I don't think
Eyes?
so.
It's so good. That's gonna be one of the upcoming episodes I'm gonna do one on. It's
Okay,
such a good movie.
I'll look into it.
Even my one friend that's not huge into horror movies, I had him watch it, and he was like, "Yeah, that movie was pretty fucked." And that has the most like brutal kill scene in it. It just goes on for like 20 seconds, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but
Good, good, good.
it's pretty wild.
It's like that's what I'm watching.
Yep.
I would definitely I might even watch it tonight just to get a
Mhm.
refresher. But all right, so she leaves the phone booth, she walks into a bar, and I don't really know why they made such a big deal out of this, but she doesn't close the door all the
The
way.
door, yeah, they kept
So the
complaining about that
bartender,
door.
whose name is Al, she sits down and says, "I'll get a shot and a beer," and he's like, "All right, why don't you just get up and close the door all the way first?" And she's like, "It's closed." No, it's not. And he's just like being a dick about it. It's like
Yeah, very weird.
it has nothing to do with the story. But then the other guy sitting down with the long hair, the heavier guy, his name is Warren. Um, he says, "Yeah, she sounds pretty sure that it's closed, but being sure of yourself is just another word for being lazy."
Mm.
So she tells him, "I'll buy you a beer if you get up and shut it." So he's like, "All right." So he gets up to shut it, and then this character named Danny bursts in with a shotgun, and he's just like freaking the fuck out. I don't know why he went to that bar, assuming they knew where his sister was. That's what he came in looking for his sister, and no one's really saying anything, telling everyone to put their hands on the
And they're
table.
smiling too. They're
Yeah,
not
Yeah.
afraid. They're all
no,
smirking. And what he like the bartender assumes it's a robbery, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
then he says like, "I'm not here to rob anyone." He's like, I want to know where my sister is," and apparently he's been looking for her for like 13
13
years.
Mm-hmm.
years. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, that's kind of strange. But then as he's like screaming at Al, the bartender, Warren, you see like all of a sudden has these super long, sharp fingernails, and he gets up and slashes Danny in the back. Danny turns around, shoots him. Yeah, where does he shoot
He
him?
shot
He
in his
shoots
front
his hand
ankle.
off.
Yeah.
Well, he shoots his hand off when he's on the ground, though.
But didn't he like hit him with the shotgun
I
initially?
think that's would be the fall. Yeah,
I think he hits
hits
him with
him.
the butt of the shotgun in the face, knocks him down. Then the hand that he scratched him with, he blows his hand off
Mm-hmm.
with the shotgun.
And mentioned that he's gonna be okay too. Like he wants
Yeah,
everyone to know he's not there to kill
yeah.
anybody.
I mean, he's a pretty good guy, you know.
He's just trying to find his sister. That's
But
all.
so now he starts talking to Al, like he notices a tattoo on his hand, and he says, "Where did you get that tattoo?" And I really don't remember. Does he answer him? Because I don't remember him answering where he got the
I think he
tattoo.
just did a lot of smirking this one.
Yeah, and I think he just tells them that like you're not gonna come out of this on top or
Yeah.
Yeah,
something.
he's
Like
like,
you're just
you're already dead. You just don't know it,
yeah.
something like that.
Is that when you noticed the tattoo though? Like
No, 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 no. That's a little bit later on. You
Yeah.
know.
So he Al says, "I know where your sister is." So he grabs Al, forces him into a car. When they're leaving, Warren's sitting there, and Warren just like does like this howl scream type thing, which
mhm,
makes me think they're like werewolves or something.
mhm.
So they're driving to this spot, and I think it was like, wasn't it a tattoo shop?
Yeah.
Didn't
Yes.
they pull up and
Yeah.
there's a tattoo shop?
They pulled up and it was like the
Fast
burger
food,
cafe,
right?
a
It was a
fast
fast
food
food
place.
place.
But he brings them around
To the
back
back, yeah.
and
Yeah,
says it's through a door, but you don't see a
you don't
door.
see a door, and then so Al holds the tattoo up to his eye, and he blinks, and the tattoo on his hand is like this weird. It looks like a tribal type thing, but it has an eye on it. When he blinks, the eye on his hand blinks,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was cool. And then it shows what he can see, and it's like an invisible door. It's like kind of distorted and like I think like a bluish color.
Yeah.
It's glowing. So he opens the door, and yeah, it was a tattoo shop because his sister, which is Jessie, right? Yeah, Jessie was the sister's name. She's tattooing the guy like old school
Yeah,
style.
which
Like
was cool.
she's got like the bar and she's like hitting it with like hitting the needle into the skin. Um, so then he calls her name and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" She runs up, hugs him because I haven't seen each other for 13
She's
years.
happy to this part I was like confused because she was happy
She
to
was
see him
happy to
and
see
then
him,
she
but
wasn't
then
happy to see
Yeah.
him. It's like very strange.
So Al starts laughing, like because he knows that Danny's gonna die, and Jesse's saying that she wants to stay, and he's like, "No, you're coming with me." Um, I think Al provokes Danny to the point where he blows his head off with the
Well, no,
yes.
shotgun.
because he hits him.
He hits him in the face first, right?
No, because he was like hugging like his sister, and she's like talking to him, and while she's talking to him, the bartender, what was his name?
Al.
Al
Ow.
comes up behind him with like a bat or something and hits
Okay,
him.
That's
that's
right.
right.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
So he ends up blowing Al's head off, takes Jesse out. They get in the car and they start driving, and she's like, you should have just let me stay." Blah blah blah. They're just driving, and they're like driving through a fucking desert at this point. It's not even
Mhm.
a road, and
Yeah, 'cause I think she tells him too, like, don't
yeah,
drive through there, like, don't
and
go that way.
and he keeps going anyway. And then she now tells him like, you have to keep going. Like you can't stop now. But he stops,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden these like naked men appear,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they pull him out of the car, and they start undressing him, and
yeah,
she's just like, I told you so.
yeah,
Like,
and it just gets in the car and go. And she does mention, didn't she mention she killed their parents?
Yes, there was something he kept
Right?
not to blame himself because she was a kid, but then she's like, "No, like I
Like, I did it.
wanted
yeah,
to."
she said that she wanted to. So she just drives off, and then she gets back into town at that burger joint or
Same
whatever,
place, yep, the same place.
and she does the same thing. She's got the same
That's
tattoo.
it, yep.
She holds it up to her face. She can see like the door, and she sees this little blonde girl just looking. Not girl, she's a teenager, young adult, whatever. And she just says, "What are you looking at?"
Mm-hmm.
And so then it goes to the blonde girl's family, which is the transition into the final story. I don't know what was that, like a rental that they got to, the cabin or
Yeah,
house they went
it
to. It
looked
was
Yeah,
like a little
almost like an
vacation.
a
Airbnb
B
kind
and
of
Yeah.
B,
thing. It
right?
was,
So they get there. Everything's fine. The family's names are, I want to make sure I get it right. Um, Daryl, who's the father, Catherine's the mom, and Jem is the daughter.
mhm.
So they hear like, do they see them first out the window, or do they hear a knock on the door first?
I think it's the knock on the
I think
door,
they
or
hear.
the father sees him out the window
I think
first.
maybe he
Well, there
notices
was
it.
a knock first, and she's like, "Oh, I'll get it," and the mom's like, "No, let your dad get it," and he goes and he opens it, and no one's there. And then
That's right. Okay.
that's when they start hearing it on the window, and then on the door again, and they start noticing like something's up.
So there's these three men outside that are knocking on the windows, the doors. They have masks on, like masks of like cartoon old people. It
I
looks
thought
like.
they almost
Look
look
like
like
presidents, right?
Yeah,
Okay, maybe
like
that's what it
I
is.
thought one was
President.
supposed to be Ronald Reagan. It looked like.
I know.
Okay, maybe that's what it
I'm
is.
like, oh, gave me presidential.
I'm not a good history guy, so I don't know that
It's
shit.
like it's like Point Blank. Do you ever see Point Blank when they go in and rob the bank and
Okay, yeah,
they wear
yeah,
the president's
yeah.
masks?
Um, so eventually they're like they grab a weapon. He grabs like a knife, I believe. The wife gives him a knife to use to protect them, and they eventually the three men find their way inside, and it's kind of like you don't really know why they're attacking them, but you
Mm-mm.
figure it out shortly after. They they capture them. They get the husband and wife,
They
and
slammed the wife's face hard
yeah,
though. Just
oh yeah,
oh
she
my
had
god.
a fucking big like
They
welt
just
on her cheek,
right into the wall too.
and they get the daughter and they tell her go. They just tell her to like leave, like go, get out of here. So you see her run off into the desert. It's like deserts everywhere in this
Hmm.
movie. It's like just a big desert.
Yeah.
But it's called Southbound.
True. Um, so they have them tied up because they couldn't move, and he says the father starts apologizing. Daryl starts apologizing, saying
Yeah, because the
Also, he stared at him for a couple minutes,
yeah
like seconds through the mail, and
yeah.
that's when he
Then
realized
he
who it
realized who
was.
it
yeah.
was,
And then he starts apologizing. And the thing, when
and
I also, the funny thing is, like, there were three, which kind of made me, like, not sure of myself. But, like, soon as I saw the two of them, their shapes and everything, I started putting together what the beginning and the
And it
end, and,
was
like, was connected.
so he keeps like apologizing, saying, "I'm so sorry." And then the wife says, "What did you do?" And then the one guy leans down and whispers in her ear. You don't hear what he says,
yeah,
but then she's kind of like looks at Daryl, like her husband, like, "What the fuck did you do?"
Yeah.
like I feel like
And
he kidnapped his daughter and
We
killed
don't
her or
know.
we
something.
don't
Yeah,
know.
We
that's
know he killed her, but
the
we
He
don't
vibe
know.
of
definitely
it
killed her because this goes back to this opening scene where Mitch is in
in
the
the truck.
motel
Yeah.
room. No, the
Oh,
motel room
that's
with the
right.
blood on the walls that
That's
was
right.
like his house, and the girl's his daughter screaming like, "Help me!" So what the reason why Daryl killed her, we don't know.
Yeah.
Which I
It's
hate. I wish they
Yeah, I
would.
wish they told me.
If they were
Yeah.
gonna tie these two together, I wish they would at least go a little bit
I
into
don't
Yeah,
that.
mind when
detail.
movies have little holes in it, but that's a
Big hole.
big hole
Yeah,
that they did not fill, and it just
it took away from it.
yeah. So it lets the viewer know like he killed the daughter, but how, why, what was his motive? You
Mhm.
never know.
Because like the thing too with this movie is every different like part of the anthology series, like they had really smooth
Yes.
transitions to, and like none of them really connected, which is fine. But like if you're gonna connect those last two, at
You
least
gotta
tell us what's
really
Give us
going
some
connect
on.
it.
story to it.
So they're tied up, and once he tells the wife what he did, and he's just constantly apologizing, they have like a, I don't know if it's a shirt, a cloth,
Rag, yeah.
rag, something, but he just shoves it in the wife's mouth, and
Which
Suffocating
that's
her.
not a
he's
way to go.
no,
Yeah.
he's like he's shoving it deep into the
Yeah.
point she probably swallowed some of it,
Hmm.
and he just lets her suffocate. And Daryl's saying she was innocent, but then again, I'm sure Mitch's daughter, who he killed, was innocent too. She was a little
Yeah.
And that
girl.
was their thing is they wanted him to see someone he
Someone he
loves
loved.
loved
die.
suffer. Um, so she dies, and then they just take a knife to him. They stab him
Few times.
a few times right in the abdomen, just let him bleed out. That's not a good way to go. Super painful. So they're leaving, and
They
um,
have their one injured friend who like
yeah.
at some point.
So okay. So before they killed the husband and wife, the
Oh, that's
car
right. The
outside, the
car.
horn's going off
Hmm.
and the lights are on. So the one friend, they don't even tell his name. He's like not even in the credits. Goes to look, and out of nowhere, like he walks back, Jem comes with a baseball bat. No, scissors.
Yeah.
Because she grabbed scissors earlier, and she stabs him in the back. And then, was it the golf club she hit him with?
No, it's
Or
the
did she
baseball
have,
bat.
she had a
Then it's the
baseball bat and
baseball
she
bat.
hit him with the baseball bat?
Hmm.
She kind of fucked the guy up. So after that happens, then
They came out to get him, right? And they're like trying to leave.
Yeah, and then
yeah.
she keeps going after them.
And the daughter came back
Yep.
and
So
she beat the shit out of them.
so they
Or
kill
just
the
the one.
parents, and they're leaving. They have their friends. I hope I'm getting this right. I
Well,
think I am.
they kill her too, though.
Yes,
skip
that's
over
right.
that.
They say to her, like, they say like, we let you leave,
And
but she still came back. She fucked up Jack. That's why in the beginning of the
That's
movie,
right. She
Jack
has
had
the.
that big gash in
Hmm.
his side because she did that. So she ends up escaping, running through the house, and then Mitch pops out of nowhere with a knife and stabs her, and he
Mhm.
kills her. So now the whole family's dead. So now they're leaving. Their friend who could barely walk, which I don't know why he can barely walk.
He got hit in the
He
head.
got hit in the head and stabbed in the back with scissors. Should be able to walk. He keeps falling, and the ground's breaking apart. And out comes these Reaper things from the
Yeah.
beginning.
And first you see the tentacles coming
Yeah,
out.
Which I thought that was cool. And you saw them come out of their bodies
yeah,
too. That was
yeah.
really
They go
cool.
back in, and like all the dead bodies, the Reapers come out of them, and they're just like, "What the fuck? We gotta go!" And the dead weight friend falls down, and then the ground breaks. Tentacles come out and wrap all around him and just pull him under.
Mhm.
They're running to the truck, and the ground breaks. I thought that was cool how they both kind of jumped
Jumped.
over the hole,
Hmm.
get in the truck. The truck's having trouble starting, but they finally get it started. They take off,
And
and
that brings you right back to the
Yep.
beginning.
brings
Right
you
to
right back to
where
the beginning, to the
you see
opening
them.
scene where they're driving down the dark highway with blood on them, just like panting, like, what the fuck did we just do? And I think they kind of realize they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And then the credits roll, and that's how the
And
movie
that's it.
ends. So
So I
I
did like the movie. I just wish that the movie, like if there was any of it tying together, I wish they made all of it tie together a little more. But the transitions to each
The
one was really
transitions
they were
cool.
were
very
really
good.
nice.
What I love so much about the movie, and I believe it was like the same director that did the VHS movies,
Mhm.
Oh, really?
because I think so.
Okay.
Unless I could have swore I read online that it was the same director or producer or creator of the VHS movies did this. So that's why like the filming was very
Hmm.
similar. I really like the soundtrack to the movie because it's not like normally really spooky music, but
Mhm.
the way they did it still made it very unsettling.
Yeah.
So I like the
It
movie a
did.
lot. It's definitely worked its way to one of my more favorite kind of horror movies. So yeah, I suggest checking it out. You can check it out on Tubi. You're gonna deal with ads, but
Yeah, both
whatever.
these
Yeah,
movies on
Dark
Tubi,
Ride
right?
is
Yeah,
also
they're
on
both on
Tubi. It's
Tubi.
free. It's a good time.
That's the streaming app to use if you want to find hidden horror movies. Is definitely
Yeah,
Tubi, hands down.
there's tons of them on Tubi.
So, yep, that's Southbound. Check it out. Southbound and Dark Ride. They're both good movies. They're fun watches, and they'll definitely keep you. They kept me sucked in, and
They're an easy watch too. Like
Easy.
an hour 30
Hour and
maybe.
a half each,
Yeah.
hour and 20 minutes. The acting's not terrible.
Sometimes they are in some of these movies, and they're
But
so
yeah.
fun.
This one,
But
yeah.
these were all right. After that, well,
So that's
really, we would love to hear any recommendations, any comments, any critique, all of it.
yes, definitely like and subscribe to this channel. I'm gonna post the Facebook, the Instagram links in the description. Give us a follow and like on everything. We're really trying to make this get known.
We want to be your spooky best friends.
Yes,
Spooky best friends. I like that.
spooky
Okay.
best
Yeah.
friends. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun doing this. It's like I said, this is our very first episode. We're new at this, so take it easy on us, but we did have a lot of fun doing it. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And we will see you for our next episode, which I think we already have planned out.
Yeah.
Um, maybe we'll wait to do this one, maybe we won't, but you'll find out next time. So enjoy. Thanks, guys.
You ready, guys, for some horror movie trivia? Today we have Sean on the hot seat, ready to embarrass himself if he
Yep.
gets these wrong.
I am probably gonna get it wrong, so
We'll start you off with an easy one.
here we go.
So the first one we have here is how many murderers are revealed at the end of the movie Scream?
Well, which Scream?
The first one.
Isn't it cheap?
It is two. Good
Yeah,
job. That
because
was an easy one.
the third one is 3, right? That was the newest one or whatever it was.
Oh, the newest one.
Right.
We're not talking about the newest
Okay,
one.
okay.
The old one. All right. That's a nice, easy one.
Nice softball pitch. I like it.
All right. For number 2, who wrote and directed A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Oh, I don't know. Tim Burton?
Oh, Hallie, that's a joke, right? No, you know this. Danny, if you can't get it, can you get it?
Wes Craven. I know, I was messing with you.
And for the last one, slightly harder, but I think you can do it. If you don't, I'll still be disappointed. We got who was born at 6 a.m. on the 6th day of the 6th month.
I can't think of his name right now.
He's got 3 sixes.
I know who it is. Damien? Yeah. I couldn't think of his name.
Thank you all for joining us. Sean passed. Next time, the questions will be much harder.